Currently, I'm 45 years old. I'm losing my hair, it's turning gray, and I've got bags under my eyes. To make matters worse, I feel like I'm suffering from age-related anxiety. For me, when it comes to aging, there have been some very specific memorable moments in my life which I wanted to share with you today. Number 1. About 15 years ago, I remember seeing this old man standing alone at the store. He was probably only 60 years old, but he looked really old and miserable, as if life had totally beaten the crap out of him. I specifically remember having two contrasting thoughts cross my mind. Is this what I have to look forward to? How can I make sure this doesn't happen to me? Number 2, my next memory in regards to aging has to do with drinking beer. During most of my 20s, drinking beer and going to the bars was just what we did. In my early 20s, I could drink until 2 a.m., sleep for 4 or 5 hours, and make it to work the next day with ease. Now that my hangovers tend to last 2 days, drinking has become much less important. Memory number 3. When I turned about 35, I began to notice singular, overly long hairs growing in the most random places on my body. Plucking hairs from both my back and my nose have become a regular activity. I remember waking up one day to a hair on the top part of my ear. It was at least an inch long, and I'm fairly certain it wasn't there when I went to bed that night. Number 4. Just as hair is growing in some places, it's decided to stop growing in other places. It slowly but surely has begun receding away from my forehead. This is actually very depressing. The photo on the left is me at 18 years old, and the photo on the right is me currently. As you can see, my forehead has turned into a massive 5-head. I'll never forget the day my hairstylist showed me the back of my head after cutting my hair. To this day, the thinning hair on the back of my head is the most depressing. If you've ever watched season 1 of The Office, Steve Carell's hair is actually quite thin. By season 2, he has a full head of hair. I'm almost certain he had hair transplant surgery. If any good surgeon is willing to provide me with hair transplant surgery, I honestly will promote them on my YouTube channel for the rest of my life. Number 5. For me, the second most depressing aspect of aging are the bags under my eyes. Seemingly, this happened overnight as well. One day, they weren't there, and the next day, they were. Number 6. My next old man trait. I didn't actually realize I did this until I heard about it in a comedy routine. It has even become a fairly popular Google search. Why do old people make noise when they sit down? Grunting when I sit and when I get back up is something I find myself doing regularly. So, while I'm sure there are some physical traits about aging that I've left out, the next most important aspects are in regards to my mental health. While I've struggled with my mental health for about 15 years, the last few years have felt different. I'd like to share some specific details, but first let me tell you about Phil Mickelson. Phil Mickelson has had a remarkable golf career. His 45 PGA Tour wins are second all-time, and he has 6 major championships. However, he had 3 majors that he clearly choked in: the 2006 US Open, the 2009 US Open, the 2011 British Open. All should have been wins. As you can see from this spreadsheet, his ranking has gone into the toilet once he turned 44 years old. As he's gotten older, it seems as though he struggles to calm his nerves in stressful situations. The final round on Sunday has not been his friend. As I get older, I find this to be a theme in my life as well, which brings me to number 7. Number 7. Within just the last few years, I find myself getting anxious about fairly insignificant things. Let me give you a few examples. Checking email, checking the notifications on my phone, going to the Secretary of State's office, finding a parking spot at events such as the Tulip Fest or Park City Mountain, walking towards someone who's walking on your side of the sidewalk, coming up to a crosswalk, waking up to an alarm clock, reading the comments on my YouTube videos, installing the graphics card on my computer, having noisy neighbors, and certain social situations such as the self-checkout at the grocery store, playing disc golf or frisbee, giving handshakes and hugs when meeting old friends, and ordering food in the drive-thru. What I recently discovered is that all these things share a common trait. Within each event, I have very little control and there's really no upside. Either the event is a non-issue or something goes completely awry. The only good news would be that nothing went awry. It's not like you're going to get an email that says you've won $1 million or that everyone in the grocery store is going to start clapping because you were so efficient with your self-checkout. When I'm anxious, I feel like all I can see is a wall of anxiety. My brain wants to focus on being anxious and nothing else. Number 8, brain fog. The thing about this anxiety is that it makes my brain fog worse. They've actually begun to name this as anxiety-related brain fog or simply anxiety brain fog. Number 9, some more issues with having anxiety is that I typically prefer to be alone with no interest in socializing. Many times, this leads me to ruminating about negative thoughts. And if I do go out, it's very easy to feel awkward in social situations. I tend to be unsure, second-guessing everything. I tend to be uninspired and unmotivated, struggling to get excited about anything. I tend to get overwhelmed and annoyed with having to perform activities of daily living like brushing my teeth, showering, doing dishes and laundry. A lot of times I'll feel tired but wired, feeling restless. I don't feel like doing anything, but also don't feel like doing nothing, if that makes any sense. One thing I've often wondered about anxiety is whether or not it stems from a lack of confidence. I mean, if I simply had an unshakable confidence, what could I possibly be anxious about? Number 10. Another thing I've recently started dealing with is morning depression. I'm not sure if this is an age-related issue or maybe something to do with dehydration. I used to drink my morning coffee so that I could wake up and get excited to start the day. Now it's more of a tool to simply help me overcome my morning depression. Number 11. As I get older, I also find myself questioning everything. I've started to wonder how many of the stories we've been told are simply lies. We've been conditioned to believe that you go to college, get married, go to church, work hard, have kids, buy a house, and live happily ever after. Most movies have happy endings, and everybody talks about the American dream. It all seems to be a form of conditioning, almost like we're being brainwashed. We're also told that everything happens for a reason, even though there is zero proof of that. It's like saying that fish can't feel pain. It's simply impossible to know that one way or the other. So I find myself not going to church, not getting married, and not having kids, and wondering if maybe nothing matters. I'm super interested in synchronicity, the simulation theory, and even the ancient astronaut theory, which has been made popular by the TV show Ancient Aliens. But I think these ideas will have to be discussed in a different video and on a different day. Now let's talk about some potential solutions to all this madness. Number 1, I think adopting a YOLO philosophy is a great start. Since you only live once, why would you work for a boss who disrespects you? Why wouldn't you take a few risks in life? Do you want to look for solutions in an effort to be happy? Or do you want to end up like the old man I mentioned at the beginning of this video, who life has beaten the crap out of? So my next potential solution ties in nicely with this YOLO mindset. Number 2, I just recently stumbled across this idea of living with intention. Living with intention means living a better balanced life that's full of meaning and purpose. It means the activities that you engage in are worthwhile to you and are focused on bettering your life. Number 3, find something to get excited about and spend your energy working towards that goal, something that will give you a sense of purpose. Over the long term, work your way towards being able to do more of the things that you want to and less of the things that you have to. For me, this is the homestead project that I'm planning to do on my land in southern Colorado. And this actually reminds me of a conversation I've recently had with my parents in regards to their plans for retirement. My dad actually really enjoys working, so once he retires, he's going to have to find a different purpose in life, something that will bring meaning. His dad used to do a lot of really cool woodworking projects that seemed to bring him happiness. My dad has been thinking and is leaning towards restoring an old truck. So if you've got an old project truck which might work for him, please reach out to me. Number 4, I've heard that anger comes from thinking about the past and anxiety comes from worrying about the future. So if you're able to be fully present, there shouldn't be any reason to be angry or anxious. So make an effort to be present, making memories and enjoying the small moments of happiness that come your way. I'm currently reading a book called The Power of Now. Let me read you a short section from chapter 2. Imagine the earth devoid of human life, inhabited only by plants and animals. Would it still have a past and a future? Could we speak of time in any meaningful way? The question, what time is it, or what's the date today, if anybody were there to ask it, would be quite meaningless. The oak tree or the eagle would be bemused by such a question. What time, they would ask? Well, of course, it's now. The time is now. What else is there? Number 5 is kratom. You've probably never heard about it, but it has changed my life. I usually take it 2 to 3 times per day. Kratom is a natural supplement which comes from the leaves of a tree that is relative to the coffee plant. It offers so many benefits. It helps me to relax. It gives me energy, motivation, and mental clarity. It increases my creativity. For me, it seems to bring everything into balance, making me feel happy and confident. It also makes me want to be more social. When I wake up each morning, my goal for the day is to be happy, get excited about my goals, have fun, and work towards a brighter future. Sometimes all I really need is to get the ball rolling in the right direction. For me, kratom does exactly that. I feel so strongly about it that I actually started selling it online. If you're interested, my website is www.myhappytimeisnow.com. I often wonder why kratom does work so well for me. Honestly, it works so well that it's just like flipping a switch. Part of me thinks that my body simply craves the alkaloids contained in kratom. Another part of me thinks that taking kratom signifies a conscious effort to be happy, completely shifting my mindset. This is a similar concept to my next potential solution. Number 6, gratitude. When it comes to the law of attraction and vibrational frequency, gratitude is towards the top of the list. In order to tap into that positive vibe, I'll often make a list of 10 things that I'm grateful for. This gets your brain into the mindset of looking for all things good. Number 7. As I mentioned earlier, I think that a lack of confidence could be a source of anxiety. For me, exercising and/or going to the gym is a great confidence builder. When I go a few days without stretching or working out, tension builds up in my neck and shoulders. This seems to affect my thought patterns, making it really hard to relax. Building your confidence can be tricky, but I think researching some books to read would be a great step in the right direction. For me, it's hard to tell which of these issues I can blame on aging and which ones are simply a side effect of my wackadoodle brain. Anyway, thanks for taking the time to watch my video all the way to the end. It truly means a lot. Also, it'd be really cool if you could share your thoughts on the subject by leaving a comment. I'm curious to know if you feel that age-related anxiety is a real thing. Please subscribe to my channel, have a great week, and we'll see you next time.